Hello and welcome to my video, complete with knees. Start again, I don't often see my knees. Canvas, jolly big. That's an English saying for I've lost my tape measure, so I'll just say it's jolly big. There we are. Right, I thought I'd just sort of show you what the front part of me looks like. This is the front part. You normally see this shoulder from behind, so I thought, well, why not? Let's see how many subscribers we lose if I actually appear on video. So here we go. I'm going to be working on this painting today. The size, how big is it? Right, it's that big. It's 116 centimeters, and it looks like 89 deep. It's 89 deep, and it's right. Oh, let's cover everything, because some people ask me questions that I keep repeating the answer to. Anyway, it's oil paint. You can paint a picture like this in acrylic. You can't paint a picture in acrylic in the technique that I use. Although this painting I'm going to be changing, so this is not from scratch. I'm just going to be making some changes, mostly to the sky, but I might add a windmill. People have asked me about painting buildings and stuff like that. I tend to avoid them because I've been a commercial artist all my life. I've drawn everything that has twitched, recently twitched, been built or fallen over. So I sort of, at this stage of my life, I sort of decided I would avoid man-made objects in my paintings and just go for nature. However, so I've always liked windmills. So I'm thinking that maybe I'll put one on the hill, just about there, possibly. I've got another camera going there. So depending on which bit of video I use, I might put it here or there. I don't know yet. Anyway, right, so what else? Okay, well, I painted this on over 2 days, 2-day event. I may do more 2-day events in the future. I'm not sure at the moment. We'll see. But it's about 3.5 to 4 hours of actual painting, quite a lot of talking, because it's done quite slowly so that people can follow along. There's a few things I want to do to the sky just to make it a little bit more fascinating. So that's what I'm going to do. Anything else I need to tell you? I'll be using probably just these 3 brushes here. That's 7 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 3 centimeters. That's all you need. That's enough to do a complete painting. Detail, intermediate detail, sky, smoothing brush. The colours that I'll use today, what am I going to use? I'm going to use titanium white, royal blue, probably cadmium, I beg your pardon, orange vermilion. The reason I keep saying cadmium is because there's a cadmium orange. This is orange vermilion. Interesting, what I see on my screen, the colour is nothing like this, so maybe that camera there will be more accurate. Who knows? Right. Ultramarine blue. I've already said royal blue, I think. Payne's grey. Red ochre. Possibly, will I use yellow? Is there anywhere I could get yellow in that sky? Possibly. It might work in a few places. And the windmill will be made of, it's quite an interesting approach this. What I don't want to do is paint a windmill in its normal colour. If I put a windmill on this bit of land here, it needs to almost like suck up some of the colours that are in that area. It's called local colour. It makes the thing sit more comfortably. But the main thing is going to be the sky. Can't think of anything else. Can you think of anything? Oh yeah, the paper. The paper that I use, this stuff. Okay, lots. I seem to get a flood of questions. They come in waves. Okay, so this paper, this is made by a company called APTA, A-P-T-A. Okay, I don't know where you can get it in America. You probably can't. So I'm in France. Supermarkets are full of this stuff. It's not like the stuff you normally get. It's actually quite tough. I mean, I can tear it, obviously. Well, as I said, it's tough. I can tear it. Right, I can tear it, and but it doesn't dissolve. Right now, the reason I want it to be tough is because when I sort of roll it up into a little wedge like that, first new word of the video, a wedge. When I'm rubbing that on paint here with oil and all kind, you know, bumps that you get on a canvas, I don't want it to fall apart. I want it to stay in one piece, and that's why I use this stuff. It doesn't have a pattern. There's certainly nothing printed on it, and I don't know whether you probably can't see on that camera. And hold it there. You will see, you know, hardly any texture on it at all. Any texture that is going to be used on this is texture that I have made. So when I start a painting, and in fact when I've got to this stage, I might want to sort of pick up a bit of paint and put down some texture. So that's the texture I want, the texture that I make by screwing it up, not by some mechanical printed texture that's on the paper. The hat is purely to hold my microphone. It's not to make me look cool. It takes a lot more than the hat, I have to say, to make me look cool. I think that's it. Let's go on with it. Okay, so yesterday, because this is the day after, I promised you a windmill. And I've been looking at pictures of windmills just to sort of get something in my head. And there's this English artist, I cannot remember his name at the moment. I can remember the painting, but I can't remember the name. So anyway, this is where I'm going to put the windmill, and I'm going to alter the ground actually below the windmill. It's going to sit on this sort of little hump here. Some of these trees there, I mean, that might be obscured, maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, it's here. And I think in my head I've got the sort of scale right. It's going to come up to sort of approximately this point here. So I'll just sort of sketch this in. I'm using a rigger. And what have I got here? I've got Payne's grey. I've got a little palette. I actually have to sit down for this sort of thing because it's a big canvas, and if I lean over and try to draw this, I'll do my back in. So we don't want to do that. So anyway, I've got a palette here. The colour that I'm drawing the windmill with, basically just a few key points, is yellow ochre, Payne's grey, and a tiny bit of red ochre in there, just a touch. And it's just to sort of add a bit of warmth to it, really. I'm not going to... You won't notice the colour. And then once I've got the structure ready, I'll sort of block in a few simple colours. Then when I've done that, I'll go off, work on the sky, and then I'll sort of come back down here. Because I'll have to do something there to connect us to that bit of ground. So I might sort of raise the land in front. At the moment it seems to drop there. I'll change it anyway. You'll see. Hang around and you'll see. Right, so the top of the windmill is approximately there, and it's one of these sort of slightly dome-topped. Well, not dome. It's not a dome. It's got a sort of arched roof, and that'll come along here, and that'll be. So this is the front of the mill. It's going to be facing that way. The wind's coming across that way. You can't see it, but imagine it. So that's the top of the roof there. Let's just have a line across here, and then we'll take that down to about that point, I think. Same for the other side. Now I've got to figure out where I am as a viewer looking at this. So am I looking slightly down on it? Am I looking straight at it? Or am I looking up at it? It's a little, I think we're sort of level. I can imagine that we're up on a bit of a raised bit of land here, and we're pretty well level with the windmill. Now these windmills had a sort of interesting character to them in that they would look sort of ramshackled. I suppose being hit by the wind all the time, they're going to look a bit rough. This is my imagination, because the windmills that you tend to see nowadays are usually in quite good condition. So But what were they always, you know, in the old days, I guess, when they didn't have power drills and all that stuff, they did probably get a bit rough and ready. So there we are. This is the wooden structure at the top here. And the bottom part would have been stone. Not always. Sometimes that would be wood too, depending on the type of mill. And I think we'll have the base of the mill down here somewhere. There's going to be a doorway, approximately there. Just very, very quickly at the moment. Nothing, you know. It's this, treat it the same way that you would treat the landscape. Keep it loose until you're ready to start to just sort of tighten up a bit. So there's a doorway. This is where the wooden structure joins the stone structure. And as I said, I'm keeping it all really simple. There's one side of it, there's the other side. And it would literally, in some cases, just have been almost a pile of stones, a doorway to get in there. And then all the workings are up in this bit here, all the wooden twiddly moving bits. So there we are. That's that. Now, what am I going to do? What I don't want to do, a lot of people do this, they put a windmill in a landscape and it's like an X like that. They don't, you know, you never know where the, what do they call them? Sails. I keep wanting to call them blades, but I think they're called sails. I want them in a position that looks believable. So I think I'm going to take it up to about this point here. Okay, so that's one. And they were literally sometimes a lattice work of quite thin branches. With little bumpy bits on them. That one's going to come down there, and that's obviously coming towards us slightly, so that'll be down there. Don't worry about it disappearing with that tree. The tree will change. And you would be able to see through them. In other words, this would be cloth, and there would be like a lattice work, like so, you know, actually acting like a sail. Now, looking at the angle that we are on this, I think this blade here will be about at that point. Okay, and then obviously the other blade, the continuation of this one, you wouldn't see it. It's hidden the other side there. So I think maybe on this thing here, there might be a little window there. I'll just put that there as a reminder to myself. It's going to be something there anyway. This is going to be slightly in shadow. The light, where's the light? The light's sort of hitting across onto the clouds that way. Got dark sky up on the top left. You can't see it at the moment because the camera's way behind me and I'm blowed if I'm going to get up and move it around at the moment because this is the bit I want to concentrate on. So there we go. There's a sort of rough outline of what the mill could look like. Now there's sort of mechanical bits around the axle there. I can tell you that for starters because I occasionally, as I said, I visit this windmill, which is not far from where I actually live now. Fascinating place. It's been around a long time and it's been totally restored. And on the ground outside the mill there are some old millstones and also the main axle that goes through the windmill. Anyway, right, so let's have here, let's have some shadow there. So we'll just sort of block that in with a nice neutral grey. What I'm not going to do, it's always good to tell people what you're not going to do, is I'm not going to turn this into a highly finished windmill. It's going to be the impression of a windmill. So just get a little bit more dark, just there, just a touch. Just to emphasise that corner, yeah? You don't have to do everything. You've got to, well, for me anyway, I like to leave the viewer a few little tasks that they can do themselves. Okay, so there's going to be like a back door type thing there. What else should we do? Oh yes, they have this wooden post. Now they have various structures. that come off the windmill. Right, the one that I go and visit. I'll put a picture up on the screen. Hopefully I found one. There's this big long pole now there, which connects the mill to the ground. So they grab the pole and they walk around the mill and it swivels, so they can turn the mill into the wind. Okay, so this one is obviously one that can be rotated, and the things that anchor it and also turn it would be hanging off the back here, and they can be all, you know, all kinds of shapes. And from memory, this one would come down like so to connect to the ground, and there may be another one. Why do I think there's two? I was looking at something last night. I think there's something like that, and you can do things like that that look totally believable, even if it isn't totally accurate. The thing is about them, they were all slightly different, all depending on the whoever built the mill and the terrain and how it would work, you know, in the best scenario. So let's fill in some slightly more solid bits there, and I think we'll put that in shadow down there. So that blade comes down here like so. And what else? So the light, let's have the roof colour. Right, yellow ochre, I think yellow ochre with white. Of course, I suppose you would need to know what sort of paint they would use. Would they in fact paint them? Maybe they would be just bare wood. I'm sure some of them were. Okay, so let's have the roof structure. Let's just have a few shapes going across there. So it's like wooden planks going across the roof. Okay, so they come up to this sort of rim here. I don't know why I put that in there. Never mind. And of course the light will catch some bits of it. I'll do that in a minute. Let's just sort of... I want it... Do you know, there's a word... I think it might be used in the UK more than anywhere else. Is that when you draw or paint something, if you want realism, it may sound completely insane, it's got to look jobby. Jobby means real and functional, not necessarily tidy. Talking about being functional, I just need to find a piece of paper. So this is all done with a rigger at the moment. It's always worth looking after your riggers. Don't let your riggers get crusty. So a bit of white paint. So I've got a tiny bit of white on the end of that. So I'm going to use that to add a little bit of twinkle. Let's get the twinkle going early on. Let's have a little bit of, just a little light bit just down there, and then just drag it slightly to the right a few times. Okay. Now the side view of the wooden structure, I want that to look really beaten and battered. And you may ask why. Well, I don't really know. It feels right. So a lighter colour. I've got a shadow down the back there. So this bit of wood facing us is going to be much lighter. Let's just sort of get a tone on there with some nice light bits thrown in. Once I've got the structure, then I'll start to make it look more, what's the word? Juicy. I want it to look a little bit juicy. And I also want to stop myself if I feel that I'm going too far. So let's just see what we can do. So if you want something to look, you know, like wooden planking and planking that is slightly rustic, you need to do these touches. in one go so that you maintain a little bit of light, like so. You can do it there are other ways, it's just my way. So let me think. Let's have the light catching the top. Just a bit. Now keep your angles crisp and sharp. That's actually quite important. I'm just going to put some streaks in there and there, and they'll be there for later. Now you may think that's a bit close to that bush, but actually it's not. The bush can be moved away, and it will be, very easily. The way I would do that would be to add light to the ground around the mill and then lift it up so that it pushes the base of this bush way over there in the distance. Right, at the moment this bottom part is translucent, so I'm going to try and just sort of change that. So I'm going to use red ochre, yellow ochre, and see what colour we get. I want a sort of like sandstone sort of effect. The mill that I occasionally visit is it's obviously in France, not somewhere like Holland. It's France. So the stonework is very like. It's very like the stonework you get in the UK in an area called the Cotswolds, which have these ancient stone villages, and you need to go there. Well, you can look on the internet. It's an amazing sort of place. Right, so this is going to be like slightly warmer in colour. Because the one thing I do have firmly embedded in my memory is what stonework looks like, because it's everywhere here. You do get brick houses, but majority are stone. Way in the countryside anyway, I'm sure in the towns. It's brick occasionally. Okay, so this is starting to look jobby. Step. Now this is where you put in little shapes and marks that could suggest something. So perhaps some of the stonework at some time has been rendered. So it's got, you know, like a lime mortar rendering on the stonework. So let's just try and get that effect. So there's a patch there that's just slightly different colour. And a little bit of light there. Slightly flying buttress type structure. I have seen that on windmills. And I think while I've got light on my brush, now actually let's cancel that. Let's just wipe it off. And I'll get some more colour on the side of the building. But mostly, let's see, how should we do it? Let's do it with Payne's grey and white, which will give us a light grey. So we should get a slightly dirty white, well, not whitewashed, but send your mind back to when this mill was functioning. They didn't have a lot of the stuff that we have nowadays, obviously, so they would have used lead paint, and over the years they would have just sort of patched it up as it fell apart, I suppose. Okay, so let's just get the colour on that. So I'm just using neutral grey colour here. have a little bit on the roof. The reason I'm paused here is I'm looking in my viewfinder on my camera. That looks pretty okay. Okay. Now I think this sail up here is going to be in shadow. In fact, most of them are, I think. So let's get some of this dark stuff. So just a reminder, this is all being done with a rigger. If I did it bigger, if I was doing it, really, well, filling the screen that you can see at the moment, I would use a much bigger brush. I'd use, one of my cheapo decorating brushes. Now, the sails, I have to say, aren't always exactly symmetrical. Again, they would have been patched up. Every time something dropped off, they would have added another bit. There, so I'm just after an impression. You can almost see, well, in some places I'm sure you would be able to see through the sails. Don't want to spend, a load of time on them. And what one thing you don't want, definitely don't want, is to make them look solid and clumpy. They were actually just the right weight for the wind to have an effect on them. That might even be, that might need to be longer, I think. I think I'm falling slightly short there. In fact, I've got a feeling I am. I'm going to just sort of add a bit more to it. There we go. Okay, now what else do I want to do? I think I want more shadow under the edge of the roof. So let's just strengthen that just a bit. Give it a little bit of, well, it's basically just, a bit of twinkle. Add some twinkle. All right, so we've got a shadow there. Let's have a shadow down the back of that stonework bit there, and then let's have, I don't know what it is. It's just, I'm just trying to put in stuff that can be, that could look as though it is there. Does that make any kind of sense? Oh, I don't know. Okay, so we'll have another window. Well, we've got a window there. Would they have had a window? Yeah, I think they would. As I said, I visit this place. It has windows, so maybe there'd be one there, and maybe there'd be one over here that isn't necessarily in line with the other one. Just a little hint of something. Okay, right, it's starting to feel sort of pleasing. I'll be happier though when I get onto the ground surrounding it. This is the first attempt at a building, I suppose, in, wow, over 20 years at least. But once you get into it, it's like riding a bicycle. Looking at the angle of that, I think that should be like that. That's better. So I'll be adding some tone to these soon. I'm just trying to put in the darks. Put the darks in early, and then all you've got to do is just sort of pepper it with a few light bits. Okay, I think, okay, now right, yeah, that works. I think that comes over, and I think it should come down like so. I wonder if that would come further. Maybe it would, but I've also got to allow for the fact that it's going to travel in an oval from our angle. It's going to be an oval journey, not a circle, because we're slightly off, right? So I think that must come down there, and then I'm going to extend this just a little bit there. Okay. Let's get some twinklies on there. I could use a palette knife, although I have to say the palette knife that I was thinking of using is actually quite a big one, and it's a little, maybe too chunky, this thing. Now that could be useful. I don't know. I could put some scrapes and stuff in there. No, I think it's too small. I mean, the painting's too small. For a bigger painting, yes, I would probably use that. Okay, let's get some more light catching the building, and then I'll start working on the ground. And I'm thinking of a path that comes across here somewhere, and that'll be mostly light green and yellow ochre. So let's see. Let's have a bit of a step. And the odd line. Just, you know, jobby marks. I think that'll do for now. So these colours, you see, these are all very muted colours, and they go with the area, so that the thing doesn't look as though it's, you know, jumping out and grabbing you by the throat. Now I want to do, this is something that you do with drawing, life drawing, and that is to just add little things like a little bit of dark there, just to accentuate the change of angle. And let's have another one of those. I'm using my pinky finger here against the canvas to keep my hand from wobbling, because it is actually a very awkward angle to work at this. I usually paint standing up, and I'm sitting in a chair at the moment. It feels quite unnatural. Let's get another, I think a little bit more. A little bit more dark just there. Okay. Now you don't need to be a master well, the word is draftsman, but I don't know whether today you call it a draftsperson. Person who draws. So yeah, you don't have to be a master at it, whatever it is. Just a few basic skills, and to take note of what you're actually looking at. You know, read the feel of the object. You don't have to be ultra precise. It's just the feel. Now I'm going to leave the mill and work on the ground below it, and then the sky. So I think as the mill goes for the moment, that is probably it. Okay, so I've got light green, yellow ochre, white. What else am I going to do? Probably sap green and red ochre, but really what I want to do is just sort of simply connect it to the ground. When I've done that, and I've left this to sit for a bit, for you it'll only be a few minutes, but for me it might be an hour or two. And then I'm going to do a little bit of refinement on that, Okay, I don't want to get it too finished because there's stuff I'm going to do around the top here a little bit. Well, I might stay away from it as much as possible, but you know, there's just at the moment there's a bit of a. I've got to get a certain feel into it. I can't really explain it. I think I need to lose any kind of cartoony look and any kind of clumpy look. In fact, before I do anything down there, I'm just going to do a couple of little things here, and that is just to sort of make this shadow underneath slightly more realistic, and that's just by dragging it down a bit, because occasionally I fall into the old traps of making lines a little bit too thick. As I said, it's good 20 years since I painted a building. I think that's slightly better. It just makes it a little bit more distant, you know. It's going to be a load of work done on the side of the building, because I think that can be I can make that interesting. And also I've got stuff to do on the blades. The blades or sails or whatever the heck they are, I don't know. Right, so the ground, let's see what we can do here. Yellow ochre and light green. Big brush. I feel like I'm going back to normal now. And, okay, the colour I'm after is like a mix between light green and the yellow ochre, and it's sort of a bit of a mishmash. Let's just do it and see what you think. Okay, so the land goes behind the mill there. Okay, so then in the foreground it's got this kind of colour, and also I want to build the land up just a little bit there. I'm going to take the tree right back, as I said, so that tree's now moved out the way of the blade. And there's going to be a strong light hitting the ground directly below the mill. So let's just use white, light green, touch of yellow ochre, not much oil. I mean, it's really just a smattering of oil. Let's just sort of put the paint on. Try and keep a few little bright spots. And then I think the path will come across there. Maybe it's I don't know. Actually, I've got water. I've got water here. Don't have to have water, I can lose the water, but who knows. I know as much as you do at the moment, because I, you know, sort of in my head I hit I've got the two buttons. One is make it up as you go along, and the other one is use your memory. What have I seen? I've looked at so many Dutch and English paintings over the years. They're all in my head somewhere. I think that could look nice. Let's have the ground. Okay, right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We've got light there. Then I always like this feeling where you have the ground slightly subsiding. So I'll do that with a bit of yellow ochre down there in a moment. But here, I think, let's just do something. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's starting to come together now. I've got a nice feeling about that. That's good. Right, now I've got trees down the bottom. Can you actually see the trees, he said, looking around the camera? Yes, you can. Okay. I think I want to get a little bit of light distraction here. And that's good. That's because obviously the thing has got to sit on stable ground so that it looks real. It's my phone pinging in the background there, excuse me. And let's put some light there and bring that down through here so there's even more light, just a little bright spot there, nice lump of paint on the end of the brush that I can use there. Okay, so we got a shadowy thing there. Let's see. Okay, and then, right, I'm going to add some of these colours over the top of the tree that was there. That's starting to feel right. Okay, that's looking nice. Okay, so it relates to the ground a lot better than if I'd left it just poking up with that line of trees, I think. Much more interesting. And I think it needs light there. Definitely got light at the base. But I want to do something, with a step and maybe a pile of stones or something in the front, don't know. Now, I've got these trees, I've adjusted the camera so that you can see the extreme bottom. I've got these what were trees here, and I'm thinking that, again, using the tricks of light, but maybe the ground should have a few light bits just in there. Still haven't put my little bit of subsiding land there yet, but I will. Let's turn that more into a pass. Well, not a pass necessarily. I suppose it's a bit like a brick, and the angle, that angle there needs to come across. A few sort of swipes in the landscape with a brush can make incredible effects. I may lose that bit of water up there. We've got water down here where you can see my hand, but it doesn't have to be there because it could come from a different source. I don't know. Maybe it comes down from the trees. Okay, so it comes down from the trees and then around, but it doesn't go that way. It would be a bit illogical going that way because it's up on a hill. So let's do something about that. Let's just lighten that down. In fact, I should have said darken it down, but I'll do that in a minute. Right, so a little bit of sandy ground showing through the grass. Let's just have something down there. It will help relate the building to the ground too. So we'll just have a little bit of that effect. And in fact, I'll tell you what, I know what that should be. Okay, right. Let's do it that way. Let's have that. So you've obviously got to get to mill somehow, haven't you? You've got to take your wheat up there to go and get it squished. So let's turn that into a pass that comes in across there and then maybe down here. Okay, that could be interesting. Don't want to overdo it. Although, why not? Overdo it occasionally, see what happens. Right, so let's see, green again. Light green and white, quite a nice effect. Strong sunlight, see? So the ground is undulating slightly there. Now, down here, a little bit of glazing, which basically means putting the paint on very thinly. Not quite sure what I'm after there, but something will pop up. Always does. Okay. there's a mill on the hill. Now let's do, I've got a few other brushes here. Now I bought these, I don't know when, years ago. Got these from Jackson's. They're some nice brushes at Jackson's. This is it's called an Onyx, ONYX, and it's number 12. I don't know what the numbers relate to because they're, you know, I've got these palette knives that have numbers on them, but you can have two completely different looking palette knives and they've got the same number on. So the manufacturer, I think, just thinks of a number and says, let's put that on it and see whether people will buy it because it's a number 12, you know. Anyway, right, so again, some very, very bright green and white. That's better, much more interesting shape there. Okay. This is going to be a long video, I think. If you're still here, then I'd just like to say thank you. If you are here and you like it, please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. It's totally free. Very helpful to YouTubers when people hit the thumbs up button. It tells YouTube something. And whatever it is you're telling them means that my video gets sort of put in front of the right sort of people that are looking for this kind of content. Right, I think it's almost time that I started doing some work on the sky. And then it'll be back to the mill. What am I going to do to the sky? The thing about the sky, I know you're not seeing it yet. The thing about the sky is it's actually okay as it is. But I think I can probably just give it a little bit more emotion over in that area directly above the mill. Of course, you can't see me moving my hands around because I've got to go and adjust the camera. Let's go and do that. Right, so there we are from a slight distance. Right, so what do I need to do? I'm sort of liking the mill at the moment. Down the bottom here, there may be a little bit of work when I've had a little think about it. But it's okay. It may need something dark there. There was trees and bushes. Sorry about all the rumbling. But I think I need to reinstate. Now I can use this and I can sort of pull it back just by wiping away some of the paint, but I've got the feeling I need to sort of form it slightly differently. Anyway, while I'm thinking about that, I will get back to the sky, although I have to say there's something in there that's not right. I just need to sort of just do that. If I'm in the way, I apologise. I'll do my best. I'll do my best and more to keep out of the way. Okay, right, so with the sky, I thought what I'd do is just sort of fool around with a bit of white. There's tons and tons of sky. In fact, if I put my hand on the painting, you see there, that point, there's another 3 inches above my hand there. But I want you to be able to see the mill at the same time. Maybe you don't want to, but anyway, you're going to. Right, so some nice shapes here, but I want to just sort of play with it and just sort of, what's the word, show off? Yeah, that's what I want to do. So a bit of white. Right, so my brush has basically got green and white on it, but I need a brush now that just has white. So this is the intermediate brush, and as it's such a big sky, I've got plenty of room to play there. So this is white paint with no oil, and it's just a little bit of let's see what we get. As I said, some nice shapes there. Now some of the paint here is quite thick, and it's intricate. There's lots of little facets, lots of facets of white happening in that. I was going to zoom in, but I'm not going to. And I want to keep those facets, but I don't know. I'm just, one of those days. So let's just be bold, just sort of put some paint on there. I just want to make it a little bit larger than life. A little bit of furniture moving going on here. Right, now, let's have another bit there. This is the bit I really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy painting, but, fooling around with skies, especially when you're doing this with a sky that is safe. There's nothing I can do to ruin this sky, because I can always undo it. So let's have a little bit of that there, why not? Let's enhance this bit that's crawling up through the picture. That's actually looking pretty cool. Okay, let's take that somewhere. Can't just have it stopping there. Got a very irritating bristle here. Okay, so as you can see, I was just thinking to myself, am I a mill painter or am I a sky painter? I think I tend to be more skyish. Yeah, it's got me thinking, this little rendition down here of a mill. There's going to be some more changes, obviously, but made me realise how, I mean, it's not bad. It's, as they say sometimes, it's nothing to write home about, but the last time I painted any kind of building is so long ago. I'm trying to actually figure out where and when, and it would have been in London. Most of my career, apart from a brief stint on the south coast of England, mostly in London. So I can sort of work out roughly when I drew. Oh yes, I know. Right, so I worked for this magazine, which is all about life in the country. And not long after I started working there, I started there in about 88, 89. I had, apart from designing the magazine, I was commissioned to make drawings of loads of English country houses. That was it. And if you've watched Downton Abbey, you'll know what these buildings are like. And I remember it was a lot of drawing. It was all in pen and ink. Actually, that's looking pretty okay there, I think. And took weeks. Very intricate drawing. I often wonder where, apart from appearing in the magazine, I wonder what happened to the original drawings, because I wasn't allowed to keep them because I was employed by the magazine. So anything I drew, they got to keep it. Right, there's something there. Okay, right, so I've done a little bit at the top there, but you can't see it. I'm not going to worry though, because it's hardly anything. And you'll get to see it in a minute anyway. Yeah, so it's a long time since I painted any kind of building. I think it's going to be okay. If it isn't, it doesn't matter, does it? At least you get to see some clouds. Right, so I've just thrown that on at the moment. So now the next thing is just to smooth it a bit. Usual stuff. This is a very taut bit of canvas on here. And the tauter the better. I suppose it wouldn't be tauter, would it? It would be the tighter. Or the more taut. Okay, so I'm not going to do much more with the clouds, funnily enough. I think I've achieved what I want. Unless I do something on the horizon. I was thinking yesterday, well, in the early part of the video, of adding a bit of yellow in the sky. I'm not sure that I will, you know, I don't think it needs it. And as they say, why make trouble? Yellow doesn't always work in the sky, particularly when you've got a lot of blue in it, because it, you know, it will go green. And you probably know I'm not anti-green in the sky. It's not something I go out and look to do, but it can be okay. Okay, now that's got a nice bit of movement. You can see a couple of things that do disturb me slightly. Okay, there's sort of something about that, and I think there needs to be a little flurry of something just through there. Yeah, nice and cloudy. A good bit of cloud there. Pleased with that. Makes my day when I bang out a decent bit of cloud. So, okay, here's a little scenario for you. So imagine that you're just starting to paint, and the thing that's holding you back is that you look at paintings that people have done of skies, and you think to yourself, "Oh, I could never do that." I just need to tell you that you can't think like that. Well, yeah, I'm not going to tell you what you can think, but I mean, the government does that enough for us anyway. But I think you have to start telling yourself, "Wow, you know, it'll be great when I can do that," because eventually you will. You just got to keep at it. Just keep doing it. Okay, let's have some nice little, whatever they are, down there. Let's have another. I'm walking around back and forth here, looking at the viewfinder. Let's point the camera up a bit. You haven't missed much. I mean, that's the top. Whoops, there's the top. That's enough of it. Nice bit of sort of warmth coming in at the top there, quite like that. What else do I want to do? Slight weak spot there. Or is it? Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Not that I'm a weak spot, you know, I mean, it's just, sometimes I can't stop designing, which is what painting is all about. You're designing an image. This place doesn't exist, as you know. It's all in my head. Now, if you want to paint from imagination and you think to yourself, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't have the right imagination." Well, what you do is, the way I started, well, apart from having this ridiculous memory of mine, I would paint, and then I would get to the point where I think, well, I need to think about it, and then go away, look at more skies, gather a bit more information in your head, and then attack it again, but at a different date. That means that the stuff you've already painted is safe. It's dried off, and you can just sort of paint over it. Right, so what am I thinking here now? I'm thinking, okay, along here, this is the most exercise I've had in weeks, you know. It's such a big painting, I have to go away and look at it from a distance. Along there, I think it needs something. It needs a little bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of that, and a little thingy that's going off that way. There we are, that's a sky thingy. Yeah, good. Right, so I get to the point in a painting where I don't want to stop. And the trick is making yourself stop. I know I go on about my cat, but doing that across there picked up so much cat hair. I often say to people, if they want to buy my paintings, you don't just get a painting, you get 10% cat as well. But don't let that stop you from buying one because, if you're allergic to cats, because it's not that much. It's just a few hairs. Okay, so yeah, nice, the odd flurry, just, the odd bit of cloud that's drifting off. It adds more realism to the painting. Much more interesting than just blue with white clouds. Okay, I think that's it for the sky. I don't want to push it any further than that at the moment. So I'm going to give it a little bit more smootherly. Let me just look at the how much you're getting over on that left-hand side. I think you're seeing pretty well the whole sky, actually. Good. All right, so at least let me put my hand in there so I can see. Yeah, that's the edge of the painting there. Right, so I'm just going to sort of... Now, you won't see much happening here, but I can see it on the painting. It's turning these clouds into something that's more believable. And you can be quite rough, because it's all, everything's dry. It's only the last bits of white that I put on that are slightly wet. Okay, I'm ridiculously happy with that. So I now need to get back to the mill and just sort of do a few little tweakings, a couple of tweakings. I think the land is doing all right. Let's get back down the bottom there. Okay, now looking in my viewfinder and looking at the painting, actually it's not that bad. What it's lacking at the moment is some strong light hitting this wall, and also some little fragments on the stone structure underneath. It just needs twinkling up. I'm actually quite pleased with the sails, but I may wait for it to dry and then add in some tone. But to get the video done today, I'm hoping to get it done today, I may leave it and just let them sit as they are. So back to the rigger. Right, do my best to keep out of the way as usual. Right, so I'm going to use the rigger for this. Now I've used it basically for drawing the structure. So it's got dark paint on it. So to clean it, just put it in the oil. Drop it in the oil, put it in the oil, don't drop it in the oil, and then just give it a wipe and you'll get all the dark colour off. So this is now clean enough for me to put white on it and without it being a problem. So all I'm doing really is just, I've got a little tiny speck of white paint on the tip of this brush, and all I'm going to do is just sort of bring out a few bits. It's quite tricky when you're putting white on a tone, because it will tend to mix in straight away. So what you need to do is not use any oil on the white, just get clean paint, and then add a few of what I'm doing. You can probably see that, I hope so. So I'm accentuating certain bits. Now, there's no real reason for that bit of light there, but it will sort of add to the thing. It's just a bit of twinkle. There's another bit. Let's add a few into the stonework here. Oh, for some reason I've got cat hair everywhere now suddenly. Why have I suddenly... Seems to be on the palette. I'm going to have to talk to that cat again. Right, so here, the stonework, let's just put a few... little catch lights. For my one of my Zoom classes, quite a few months ago now, probably time flies, doesn't it? Probably last year, I was going to try to paint a detail from a Vermeer painting of a house, a street scene. It's the front of a house. Anyway, there's all kinds of things going on in the painting. Amazing picture. If I can find it, I'll put it on the screen. And I looked at it and I thought, well, can I do that in an hour, you see? And I decided that I probably couldn't. There's no point starting something that you can't finish. So I didn't do it, but I'm thinking that maybe I'll do it as a longer project, which means that, you see, what I like to do, I like to make a video the same day if possible, and then upload it to YouTube, and that's it, it's done, and then move on to the next project. And I mean, it's not always possible, and so if I was doing something like that, it would be over quite a few days, because there's so much detail in this Vermeer, and I was only thinking of doing a section of it. I just couldn't do it in a day. I couldn't. It's just not possible, because you have to wait for things to dry. But I'm not against the idea, and if you'd like me to do that, let me know. Well, that's coming together. It's going to be a long video, this. I don't know who I'm talking to now, if anyone's actually there, but if you are here, thank you. And if you are here and you want to become a patron via my Patreon page, then please don't let me stop you. Any donation, doesn't matter whether it's big or small, you have equal chance of getting a free painting. And I think I've given away, in the last month I've given away 4, I think it's 3 or 4. And they, let me think, three that I've given away, okay, no, I've sold one, and I'm still hanging on to that because it's still not quite as dry as it should be. But the other 3, they'll probably be getting posted, I would think, hopefully next week. I think I'm going to put even more light on that roof, because I really do like a feeling of drama. So I think the roof has to be catching a lot more light. I can only go so far, of course, because of the allowing it to dry. Maybe I'll just give that a few hours plus a bit. And add it at the end, so you may not see that until the final picture. Now, there's something I should point out. This, when I'm making normal videos like this, it's the quality on from my camera is actually excellent. When I make zoom videos, they always come out a little bit sort of weak. And then I photograph the painting at the end and show people, and people occasionally say, why is it such a difference? Well, it's because what zoom does to the images, it really does just sort of scrunch them down, so that they work faster, I suppose. I mean, it's just a shame that has to happen, but there you go. Better than nothing, isn't it? It's actually quite amazing when you think about it, that I can sit here in France and I can teach people in real time in America. Mostly America. I've got some English students. And yeah, it's good with that light along the top. Okay, I like that. Pretty incredible. Imagine if there was no internet. What could I do? I'd be advertising in magazines and papers to get people to come here to learn to paint. How on earth did we cope in the old days? There we are. Now, in fact, did we cope? I think we did, we just didn't realise it. When I think back to the way I had to work back in the 70s and 80s and some of the 90s, but computers were sort of arriving on the scene in the late 80s, properly. Yeah, everything done by hand, no buttons. Okay, am I happy with this? I think I am, you know. I'm sort of, I often say it, I'm not always happy, but I'm quite happy. Just add a few twinkles at the end of that. Let's have the light catching something up in here. There we go. I've got to finish off these wooden structures here. These are, you know, the things that they would swivel the mill with. So I'll just sort of fiddle with them in a minute. And then I think I'll probably stop. Not that I want to, I'm quite happy to keep twiddling away. Let's just put some marks there. I think that might be it. Another quick look at the camera. Or in the camera. That's okay. Not too bad. Anything I want to... Oh yes, I know what I want to do. Okay. Right, I wanted to add something in the foreground here. So it looks as though there's something either on the ground or maybe there's a step catching the light just there. Something, and maybe, just maybe, there's something, something catching light around the door, just there, and maybe there. Okay, there's no real reason, it's just stuff, you know. Right, now let's soften the connection between the mill and the ground so that it looks as though it's actually been standing there for some time. A little bit more of whatever this is. Maybe these are bags of flour sitting outside in the sun. Did they do that? I don't know. Okay, and I think maybe that's it for the day. It's going to be a long video, this. Now, if I do this as a premiere. I don't think I can do it as a premiere, actually. I'm going to be too long. You know, this thing where you can put up a video on YouTube and your followers can sort of watch. Oh no, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. I've got to do something with that down there, that thing, that little triangle of water. Don't like that now. Yeah, if I do a premiere, I think anything over an hour is pushing it a bit. So I'll probably just put this up as a video. So let's, while I'm fixing this, I mean, do I need to fix it? Maybe I don't. Maybe it just looks all right. So it comes along there. Let's have a look around the picture. Do I need to do anything to those trees? I think they're okay. All right, so I'll just do the wooden poles, and then I think that's it. If this has taken me, oh, I don't know. I feel like I've been painting for quite a long time. Apart from the 50 years, yeah, the wooden poles. Let's do something with them. Yeah, if I paint for an hour, it takes 4 hours to edit the video. If I paint for 2 hours, it'll take a day, at least a day, to get it all so that it's sort of smooth. I've never had to sort of scrap a video and start again completely. Not yet, anyway. Right, so this here would be in contact with the ground, so maybe there'd be a little post at the end of it, and this one over here. Okay, why would they have two? I don't know, but I've seen it. Am I happy enough to stop? Almost. Yeah, if you want to be a patron, please, by all means, become one. And if you want to come to a Zoom class, I'll put a link below. But the best place to look for links to book is actually on my Facebook page, and the link to my Facebook page is below. Just in case some people find it confusing when they book, they say, "What time do I start?" Well, my Zoom classes always start at 6 p.m. my time. Now, when you click the link, Moments, which is the booking site, will work out exactly where you are, what your currency is, and the starting time in your time zone. So don't fret about it. If you are a patron and you pay the equivalent of €30 a month, you get 2 lessons free. Well, no, beg your pardon. The lessons cost €30, so you get 1 extra lesson. You get 2 a month for the price of 1. The class usually goes on for, well, I paint for an hour and then chat. And the chatting, I like the chats to be just about painting. We don't do much, other subjects. It's just about painting. So these lines I'm putting here, by the way, they're just to sort of indicate that it's a bit of a track along there. Don't know whether it goes along there and then round. Maybe it does. It's all good fun. Bit of a laugh. And we all need that nowadays, don't we? Okay, now I'm just going to take a bit of light around behind that building. It may look just a tiny little touch, that, but it's worth doing it. So that there needs to disappear down there. That's good. So the ground goes up. It appears lower, but that's okay. Who knows what happens behind the building there. I've got some weird thing happening there. That sort of looks like a tumbleweed. So I think actually I'm going to just sort of change that a little bit. Put a few light bits just there. that's it. I'm done. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you've learnt something. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And I'll see you in the next video. So take care and bye for now.